Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
Star Reynolds Sports Desk, your 950 KJR Sports Headlines.
All right, boys and girls, here we go on a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon live from the VMAC. Headlines on Softy and Dick, of course, are brought to you by our friends at VenueKings.com.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Looking for tickets for the Kraken in the fall. The word is that ticket prices will eventually start to come down. I hope so, because they're crazy right now.
They are
$6,000 for the best seats in the house for the Canuck opener. VenueKings.com is going to have your Kraken tickets, your dog tickets, all your Seahawk tickets for the home opener in Week 2 against Julio and the Tennessee Titans. Want to check out the Mariners, by the way.
Yay!
Who lost today in Tampa Bay 4-3. First loss of the year to the Rays. The M's now 6-1 against Tampa, 58-51 overall. It was the first loss with Logan Gilbert starting since the 19th of May. The Mariners had won 11 games in a row with Logan Gilbert on the mound. The M's now will head off to the Bronx to take on the Yankees tomorrow at 4:05. Tyler Anderson versus Nasty Nestor Cortez in game number 1 in the Bronx.
They were probably one catch in center field away from a sweep right there.
Maybe.
Mariners have announced they will open the 2022 season against the Detroit Tigers at T-Mobile on March 31st. And NBA news, Kemba Walker agreeing to a contract buyout with the Thunder. He's going to sign with the Knicks, and John Collins will stay in Atlanta 5 years, $125 million with the Hawks.
MLS All-Stars announced today. New Who, the Roldan brothers, Yammer Gomez Andrade, Yao Paulo, and Raul Rui Diaz. And I'm sure I mispronounced at least one of those names.
You butchered 2 of them, actually.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Yaimar and Jawa.
What did I say? Andrade?
No, it was
Yaimar Gomez Andrade?
Oh, no, Yaimar's right.
What did I say?
You said something other than Yaimar.
Let me ask you a question.
João Paulo.
Did you know who I was talking about?
I did.
Okay, then what the hell's wrong? What's the problem?
Nothing.
How about this in golf? You'll like this story.
Okay.
After a positive COVID test kept Bryson out of the Olympics,
yes,
Bryson DeChambeau said today he does not regret his decision to pass on a vaccination.
And did you hear why?
Because somebody else needs it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently there's a dearth of vaccinations.
I didn't know we had a vaccination shortage. Former UW and Wazoo basketball coach June Doherty, this is sad news, passing away at the age of 64. She spent 22 of her 29 years as a head coach with the Dogs and the Cougs. And the Sounders tonight, losers of 2 in a row. They'll try and get back in the win column. Dallas FC, 7 o'clock kick, 6:30 pre-match show with Jackson Feltz right here on 950 KJR.
And here we go.
And now, 2 goofy, wacko, out-of-touch homers. Just brutal radio. Just horrible.
Live
41 yards
from Elliott Bay.
Can you feel it now?
Hey, Seattle.
This is Softy and Dick.
I think if you go back and listen to the headlines, you'll find that I did not butcher those names as badly as you thought I did.
João Paulo, you definitely did not.
What'd I say?
João Paulo. I'm not sure how.
João Paulo.
João, yeah, he's called
That's what I said.
João.
I said João Paulo.
It's João. There's 2 syllables in João.
Oh, that's not that far off.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? You're acting like I called the guy Frank, for God's sakes.
Bobby Paulo.
That wasn't that far off.
Made the All-Star team.
Henry Paulo has made the... Bill Johnson has made the All-Star team. Well, congratulations to all those guys for making the MLS All-Star game. I believe it's a Sounder record, by the way, so I'm sure Jackson's very excited about that. He's going down to order his jerseys of all those players right now.
Well, that's why he's not working our show today.
Exactly.
Because he's just he's at home in stunned amazement.
He's here. He's getting ready for the game tonight. He's got to prep for the game. See, he does what you and I do not do. He actually preps for his broadcast. We don't give a damn. Our gaff meter, you know what gaff is?
Yeah,
give a blank. Has been in the gutter for about 10 years. So I just...
But he does our show when he has Sounders games.
He does. But apparently doing Jason Puckett's show at 10 o'clock and doing Ian Furness's show at 1 o'clock was
a long day.
Too much for the kid to handle.
I'll give him that.
I remember back in the day when I was a board operator, I'd be on the board for 4 weeks without taking a break. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I used to pee in the control room, in the garbage can.
That's back when there was no workers' rights.
No, none. They just told me where to be, and this is how much you're getting paid, and you're lucky if you'll get paid at all. So things have changed changed a little bit, but we're here at the VMAC. Week 2 of Seahawks training camp is underway. Mike Florio is going to join us at 3:30. He threw out some tasty treats on a potential Deshaun Watson destination, so we'll get his thoughts on that. His thoughts on the continued holdout for guys like Jamal Adams and Dwayne Brown as well. Bobby Wagner is back at practice today after missing the last couple days because of a personal matter. So we'll talk a lot of Hawks today. Cam Cleland, the new color voice for Husky football, is going to join us on the air at 5:05 via the OnSip technology. I can't wait for that to see how that goes. And then Petro's coming up 4:05 today on the radio show. Apparently he was in in Arizona. Fox did a big symposium or expose. I don't even know what the hell the difference is with all their employees, and Chris Peterson was there. So the report that came out a couple days ago, we can kind of now confirm that Chris Peterson's taking a job with Fox because Petros told me off the air that, I was there at the thing and Coach Pete was there.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, that he's taking the job?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think when you want to grow your brand, and he really wants to grow this Built for Life platform he's got, I think, having his name out there. And, Hugh and I got into that kind of debate yesterday. How could a guy who was so anti-media be a part of the media? Well, it happens a lot, right? There's a lot of people that you look at that you don't think of real big-time media-friendly coaches or players, but they retire. They got no idea what the hell they want to do. They get a couple of $1 million or whatever it is to go do a cush job with Fox 4 months out of the year. Why not? Huh? No pressure on it. It's not like he's answering questions from idiots like us, right?
I just thought it was odd because he was two completely different people. Like I did 3 or 4 events with Chris Peterson, where I was like the MC and he was like the speaker, right? The big name speaker.
Yep.
And he was awesome.
Yeah.
Gregarious,
absolutely
funny, and then he gets on the air with us or anybody, and it's just lockdown.
Right.
I'm not going to have any fun. I'm going to tell you how much I don't like doing this, and I just thought it was always bizarre because he is very gregarious and entertaining when he wants to.
Maybe he just didn't like the questions. Maybe he didn't like people questioning him. Maybe he didn't feel like there was any real positive reason to do those things. Even Jimmy at times has been kind of that guy that says, "Why should I tell you anything? You're going to print about it, And
he's had fun with us.
Well, he has had fun with us, but he's changed a little bit since he became the head coach. He's not full Peterson, but he is a little more guarded now than he was when he was a defensive coordinator. And I totally agree with you on Peterson, by the way. Look, I feel like a schmuck bringing this up, but I was lucky enough to have a lunch with him about a year ago. We sat down at the Central Bar and Restaurant for 2 hours.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
He
was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I've never been that engaged at a lunch. Didn't even give a damn about what I was eating, what time I had to go, where I had to be.
How much you were paying.
Hearing him talk and just hearing the stuff coming out of his mouth. He was phenomenal about the state of college football, what he wants to do, his thoughts on the way things went at UW. Just really engaging guy. So I think you're right that if Chris Peterson wants to be, I think he could be great at this with Fox. So Petros, who already we know is terrible at it, he'll join us at 4:05 on the radio show and talk about that. But I don't know, maybe the big news of the day so far, we're still kind of, following the M's. I saw our boy Hawk Blogger last night tweeted out, when was the last time the M's were this close to contention with a roster full of young guys that have a future? And I thought to myself, well, 3 years ago they were a game and a half out of a wild card spot.
No young guys,
but they were old. They had a bunch of old guys, a bunch of old fogies on that team that had no future with the ball club. So this obviously does feel different than it did a few years ago. Watching the game today, Logan Gilbert, Jared Kellnick going to his left on a ball he probably should have caught. And I think looking back on it, Jared Kellnick would look at that and say, yeah, I probably should have got to that. It kind of looks like he was caught in no man's land of diving or staying on his feet, and the ball went right underneath his glove. He was right there to make that catch. Maybe playing at the trot more often, he would know the lay of the land. But let's face it, that led to 2 runs that in some ways cost the Mariners the game today and cost them a sweep against Tampa. And you think about how close these guys are, and that really is the way baseball is, right? The difference between the good teams and the mediocre teams, and even in some ways the bad teams, is kind of razor thin in baseball. One pitch here or there, one bad hop here or there, one outfielder not making the right call like Kellnick did today here or there. How about the blown saves, the bullpen against the Rangers, that one play by Kellnick today? That's how close they are to winning every game in Tampa Bay and Texas.
And leading in the wild card race. Well, I kind of I threw out something that I didn't realize was going to be so controversial.
Oh, well, who knows
on
anything
Twitter.
these days? You say hello and people get crazy.
Exactly. They get
Kidding
absolutely
me?
nuts.
Oh,
but
nuts.
I threw out what I thought was a fairly straightforward, simple question.
All right.
And it had to do with Jared Kelenic. And I said, just how is it helping him and helping the team by him being up right now? Because he is certainly not helping the team. He didn't help them defensively today. That's an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Him not helping them offensively is a nearly daily occurrence. And I've got guys saying, well, oh, man, he's really come alive in the last week. So I went and looked. The best stretch I could find of Jared Kelenic is 7 for 31. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's like 225. That's the best stretch you've gotten since he has been a major leaguer. And if we are really in this the way I want to be in it, which is who gives a damn about 2021?
You don't care about this year
then
at all.
Go ahead and play him every day. Go ahead and have him hit 150 every day. Go ahead and have him work himself out at the major league level. That is completely fine. But you can't tell me that we're in this. You can't tell me that we should have done more at the deadline because we got a shot to go to the playoffs and rationalize to me that Jared Kelenic's in the lineup every day. You just can't do it.
Well, first of all, I don't think – I mean, it's – what time is it? It's 3:11. I'm already disagreeing with you. You can't wait until 4 o'clock.
No, I can't. I wasn't with you yesterday. I've got a day worth of pent-up anxiety.
Well, Kelenic in the last 7 games is hitting .260 with an .836 OPS. All right, that's before today. Got a couple of bombs. He's got 9 RBIs. So going into today, did you bring that question up before or after the game today? After, okay. Yeah. So if we just kind of flush today, whatever, going into the day, the guy had an .836 OPS in his last 30 plate appearances. I think that he has showed signs up until today of maybe kind of starting to come around. So I feel comfortable leaving him up there. Your take, though, on – hey, if you don't give a damn about 2021, then fine, leave him up there. I think that's the exact wrong way to go about this. Because what the Mariners are doing on the field as a team should have no impact on what they do with Jared Kelenic. That's what cost him with Mike Zunino. Either A, he's ready, or B, he's not. Okay? If the team is going for it or they're not going for it, the only thing that should matter with Jared Kelenic is he overwhelmed? Is he not overwhelmed? Does he deserve to be here? Does he not deserve to be here? It shouldn't matter what the team is doing. All that matters is him. He's your prize prospect. He's your number one thing.
Well, don't you want your
that you got in the minor league system?
Each position playing baseball games if you are in the hunt?
Yeah, but if he's not your best player, then he shouldn't be there because it's going to ruin him. It's going to ruin him. I mean, that's the whole point. Is he ready to handle this or not? Forget what the Mariners are doing. Forget what you care or don't care about 2021. Do you think that Jared Kelenic is ready to handle being on a major league roster and playing every day right now? You don't.
No.
Then send him down.
Yeah.
Send him down. Doesn't matter if the team is good or bad.
Absolutely nothing to show that he is in 2 different stints.
Well, I disagree with that.
If you want to use a 7-game sample size and find his best 7-game stretch, ended, by the way, with an 0 for 4 and a huge error that cost you the game today, then by all means go ahead. But I'll give you a 40-game sample size that says the other.
Well, but Dick, he's only been up since the middle of July. That was 3 weeks ago. So you don't have much of a sample size
After
to look at anyway.
The first
right, but we're talking about the second time around now, and I agree. If this continues and he goes in a bigger slump, then maybe you look back at the first time and say, hey, there's something going on here. Did they give him an error on that play, by the way, today? Do you know that? I don't think they did give him an error. I mean, look, I think he's been playing better. I think he's been swinging the bat better in the last week. And I mean, all we can do with Jared Kelenic, because the sample size is so stinking small, is look at little examples of what he's done. Okay? Now, look, if he goes on an 0 for 30 in the next 2 weeks, then we got a different conversation. But I think as of right now, in my opinion, what Jared Kelenic has done the last 7 games, he deserves to keep going with this. Now, I could change on that. Absolutely, my mind could change on that. But, I mean, again, I disagree with you. But I'm just saying, if you believe that he is not ready to be an everyday major leaguer, then what the team is doing should not matter. It should not matter, okay? And look, I mean, do you want to have your best players to make a run? Well, I mean, if that's the case, then, wait till Kyle Lewis gets healthy or go make a deal for a bat.
I'm with you to the extent that I want what's best for Jared Kelenic.
That's all that matters.
I mean, that is far more important than what's the best for the Mariners right now. But
Absolutely.
The second part of that equation is, okay, what's the best for this team in 2021? And if the answer to both of those questions is him not being on the Major League roster, which I would lean towards that versus the best answer is him on the Major League roster. That's why I brought up the question in the first place, because he's not going to go for 30 in his next 8 games, but he could very easily go 4 for 32.
Yeah.
And then, again, you're not helping the baseball team if he's going 4 for 32.
We have a fundamental disagreement because I think he's looked better, and I think he deserves to be here.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he turned a corner and just had a bad day today. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a bad day today. And, I mean, to be fair, I didn't see every single one of his at-bats today. I just know this. In the previous 12 games before that 7-game run, he was hitting a .140 with a 369 OPS. So, I mean, the clock was kind of ticking there a little bit on him. You know, he had 48 plate appearances. He had 6 hits. He was riding a 6 for 43 with a 370 OPS. I'll round up and do the kid a favor. So if that had continued into the last week, I think we're having a little bit of a different discussion right now. I also think the Mariners, and I don't even know what they're looking for because Jerry Dipoto came out and said when they sent him down that it wasn't about the numbers. Well, of course it was about the numbers because if Jared Kelenic was hitting 400, there's no way they would have sent him down. You can make progress without having balls land on the turf. You can make progress. You can have better at-bats. You can see better pitches. You can be more patient. You can make better contact. You can have a better control of the strike zone. So I'm seeing a guy myself, and I'm curious what you guys think at 49451. I see a guy improving. You don't see a guy improving. I do.
Not really, and I do. I also see guys coming back, you know, like Jake Fraley and Jake Bauers, guys that are coming back that weren't available when they brought Kelenic up, and maybe part of the reason they brought him up is because they didn't have a lot of depth in the outfield. They've got more depth in the outfield now, and I think both those guys I just named are better hitters at this moment than Jared Kelenic is. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying they're better baseball players than Jared Kelenic. I'm saying they are better hitters right now.
Well, they are right now. Yeah, they are better baseball players right now. I mean, maybe not long term. Who knows what Jared Kelenic's going to be, but I mean, right now they are better players. So, look, I mean, I think, again, not to be repetitive, that this idea that he was called up because they had nobody else or what, that stuff makes me cringe. Honestly, it makes me want to puke.
But you've seen it before.
Well, we have seen it before. We've seen guys get ruined because of it.
Yep.
And it drives me nuts. I'm like, well, what clown general manager runs a franchise like that where they bring up a top prospect because they have nobody else, even if they know in their gut the guy's not ready? I mean, that's asinine.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's borderline ridiculous. I mean, that is more than ridiculous. That is malpractice for a general manager to do that. And what the hell's been the point of the last 20 years? Or this whole rebuild, if you're going to take your best prospect and just bring them up whenever you damn well please because the team needs them and there's nobody else there. We've waited this long, we can wait until Jared Kelenic is good and ready.
Right.
And I think he is showing in the last week that he is showing that he's making progress. It's a day-by-day thing in some ways with him. But, yeah, I see a guy with a way over 860 OPS in the last week before today's game. And I absolutely see a guy getting better. So I got no problem bringing him up. But, man, today's game was bound to happen, obviously. Sweeping Tampa, going to 7-0 against the Rays, who won the American League a year ago. And if we were smart, we would have put every penny we owned on Tampa Bay today. Yeah. Every single penny we owned on Tampa. Yeah, see, I thought when you texted me and said I got a controversial thing, and then I saw the name Kelenic, I thought you were going to bring up what Millen said about Jamal Adams yesterday because, boy, oh, boy, people are sick and tired of Hugh Millen bashing Jamal Adams. They want sunshine and rainbows. I had a guy tweet me and say, oh, this is negative. Well, he's just giving you his opinion on Jamal Adams, which hasn't changed from over the offseason. He doesn't like the guy. He doesn't think he's worth the 2 first-round draft picks or worth being the highest-paid safety in the history of football. He thinks he's a good player, but not a great player. He's not worth that kind of money. So, I mean, I guess my point would be, do you want Hugh to lie to you and give you an opinion that you want to hear, or do you want Hugh just to continue to tell you what he thinks? And, look, I know that it's a story because he's holding out. What we can do to make this thing go away is have the guy sign a damn contract, then it's over.
The only thing that bothers me about Hugh's take on Jamal Adams is his assessment that he gave me a couple weeks ago when he was in for you. I don't know if he gave you the same assessment yesterday, but that he's just not going to get any better. That's just what you see is what you get from Jamal Adams in coverage. And I just
maybe he's right.
I'm like, man, he's 24, 25 years of age. You're telling me that with another full season with this coaching staff, he can't become a better cover, especially with the unbelievable athleticism?
What did he say when you brought that up? When you asked him, did you ask him about that? About him improving in pass coverage, and what did he say?
He said just that. He goes, what you see is what you're going to get. He goes, I don't see much improvement coming from Jamal Adams, if any.
Yeah. Well, And you may be right, and he may be right.
I mean, I trust.
I don't know who's right or wrong.
More,
I
but
mean,
I would just say 24, 25 years old. I mean, you're still improving leaps and bounds in the NFL.
Well,
at that age.
I would think that pass coverage as a skill is something that you kind of either have it or you don't. I mean, you can maybe improve a little bit here and there, but he thinks he's terrible in pass coverage. Let's be honest. So you're talking about a guy who he's asking to go from terrible to maybe above average to justify the contract he's got.
Go from a 2 to a 5.
Are there examples?
2 to a 5
are there examples of guys that came into the NFL?
I don't know.
Linebackers, safeties, and maybe corners because that's all they work on, right? Whatever. But linebackers, safeties, that pass coverage is a part of their skill set, and they're terrible at it. And then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 years in, they look better. Maybe there are examples, maybe they're not. I mean, it doesn't bother me that Hugh thinks that. I would tend to agree with you that the odds are he'll get a little better, but how much better will he get? I think for the most part that maybe he's right. That in general terms, that what you see is what you get. That Jamal Adams is going to be a blitzer. He's going to be a weapon. He's going to be a tackling machine. He's going to get after quarterbacks. But if you're ever expecting Jamal Adams to be even above average or elite as a cover safety, that's likely not going to happen. I think that's what he's saying.
And I'm still okay making him the highest paid safety in football, even if he only becomes average. Now, I don't really want to make him the highest paid safety in football if he stays a 2 out of 10 in coverage.
Well, guess what? You're about to make him the highest. Yeah.
Well, you're kind of betting on the come, though, right? You're betting on the fact that you think you can make him into a reasonable cover strong safety.
I think it's a fascinating conversation. I really do. And the reason why it's still a conversation is because the guy's not practicing.
We don't see
Yeah,
him.
he's here, but he's not working out.
I'll tell you what, he's not getting any better covering right now.
Exactly. He signs a contract, and this whole thing is over. I mean, there's still a debate on how much the Hawks should pay him, what he's worth, and maybe Millen's right. Maybe. And I think we have to realize the possibility that maybe everybody out there who loves Jamal Adams and pay him whatever he wants is exactly right. He's totally worth it. Gigantic impact player. You can't move on without him. And maybe Millen's right, that he's going to be a bust. And this is a mistake to pay the guy this kind of money. It was a mistake to give up the 2 first-round draft picks. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, let's see how this plays out. But I'm telling you what, if Millen is right, there's going to be a lot of people eating crow over the way they've been going after him. I'll tell you that right now.
I've always said don't chase a bad trade with bad money. And so I've always been, hey, if you want to not re-sign Jamal Adams, that's fine. I mean, I don't just want to re-sign him just because you spent 2 first-round draft picks on him. But I do think he's worth that type of money, 16, 17 a year.
Well, we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out. Mike Florio will join us, courtesy of SimplySeattle.com, next on Softy and Dick on 950 KJR.
In one app.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. I've been doing this for 20 years, but success doesn't happen in a vacuum. Thank you for helping me move this thing along. You helped me get this thing going in the early days by telling 20 of your closest friends about Tito's. They told 20 more, and it kept growing from there. We wouldn't be where we are today without your support. Thank you very much. Go to Tito'sVodka.com and pick up some Tito's gear. All proceeds benefit our charity partners. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
It's time for a weekly conversation with Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. Brought to you by Simply Seattle. Tired of buying and repping the same old Seattle sports gear everyone else has? For the best Storm, Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken, Rainiers, Sounders, and not to mention the largest Sonics collection in the world, check out SimplySeattle.com. Now with Mike Florio, here's Softy and Dick.
How dare you?
All right, boys and girls, here we go. Week 2 of Seahawks training camp underway. Seahawks have just broken practice. Should hear from a player or two coming up at 3:45 on the program. But joining us right now from ProFootballTalk.com, the king, the undisputed heavyweight champion
Damn right.
of all NFL media, our friend Michael Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. How are you, pal?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. Good to have you back on the radio show, Mike. You had a tweet you sent out, I think it was late last night, maybe even early this morning. The Panthers are quietly keeping an eye on Deshaun Watson, and there's another NFC team that perhaps should now be considering a potential quarterback-for-quarterback trade. Expand on that as much as you can, please, sir.
Well, I am told that the Panthers are a team that is keeping an eye on Watson. He went to Clemson and South Carolina, and David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, very intent on getting a franchise quarterback, and Tepper, a guy who has made his billions buying low and selling high. If he could buy Deshaun Watson low, that's something that he would definitely consider doing. And the other team in the NFC that intrigues me at this point given the exasperation of head coach Mike Zimmer with the low vaccination rates among the Minnesota Vikings, including starting quarterback Kirk Cousins, I can't help but wonder whether or not they'd be looking for an off-ramp from him. With all the money they've paid him, with all the money they are paying him, the leader of the team, and he's not vaccinated, and 70% of the Vikings, only 70% are. That was, as of yesterday, the lowest rate in the league. It's just at least something you have to consider, I believe, if you're the Vikings at this point. Not that it would happen, not that it could happen, not that they could find a way to work it out, but I'd like to think that the Vikings, at some level, contemplating a way out of this Kirk Cousins relationship.
Well, this Minnesota situation, I mean, how problematic is this going to be in the regular season? It's one thing to miss scrimmages. It's another thing to miss games in September and October. Is this going to be something we see every couple weeks with the team?
Well, it very well could be, because close contact still knocks you out if you're not vaccinated for 5 days. No questions asked. Close contact, if you are vaccinated, does not put you on the sideline for any period of time. Now, one of the inducements for getting players to get vaccinated was you're only going to get tested once every 14 days. Things are starting to creep toward more frequent testing, to the point where maybe the NFL Players Association even wants it to be daily testing for vaccinated players. But still, if you test positive while vaccinated, the consequences aren't the same as if you test positive if you're unvaccinated. Unvaccinated, test positive, you're gone for at least 10 days. Period.
Yeah.
If you're vaccinated, you're gone until you have 2 negative tests at least 24 hours apart. So plenty of reasons to get vaccinated, but plenty of tightening of the screws potentially on access and testing, so that they know who is and who isn't positive at any given moment, and who is potentially spreading the virus around the facility.
Well, Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NFL and NBC, with us on the air, courtesy of SimplySeattle.com. Jamal Adams still has not started practicing. Dwayne Brown has still not started practicing. On the DEFCON meter, where do you think Seahawks fans should be with both those guys right now?
Well, and look, this is one of the points that I made last week when we saw that multiple guys throughout the league showed up for training camp instead of holding out, because it's now so expensive to hold out, and the teams can't waive the $50,000 per day fine for the guys who are on their second or third or fourth contracts. So you have guys in the building who just really don't want to be there and would have held out if they could have held out, and there's a delicate balance. And the Seahawks, recognizing that we're going to keep these guys out of the fray until we work out these contracts, and at some point it does become an issue as it relates to the preparation of the players. And here's the other side of it, too. Once you show up, it's very difficult to walk out, because all the leverage goes to the team at that point. They can put the heavy squeeze on you if they want to. They can send you what's called the 5-day letter, and if you don't come back within 5 days, you get put on the reserve/left squad list, and you're shut down for the whole year. Can't be traded, can't come back, can't do anything. So the good news for the Seahawks is these guys are there. At some point, they need to get this worked out. They need to get these guys happy, and they need to get them incorporated into the effort to get ready for Week 1.
The Colts situation right now with Jacob Eason, potentially a Nick Foles. What do you do if you're Frank Reich, knowing that, hey, you might get your starting quarterback back as early as Week 2, but you might not get him back until Week 8?
The question isn't Frank Reich. The question is Chris Ballard, the GM of the team, who does not overpay for anyone, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a trade. He keeps a very steady hand. They really like Jacob Eason. There were some articles about how much they like him back in June when everything was flowery. Every player was in the best shape of his life. Everything looked good, and there was no reason to think Carson Wentz wouldn't be available for all 17 games. So they do like Jacob Eason. That's what a lot of teams do, next man up. Instead of bringing in someone new who hasn't been there for the offseason program, hasn't been there for training camp. So time will tell. And, from the Bears' perspective, they were dying for someone to show interest in Nick Foles. And the challenge in a case like this, when an urgency arises for a team like the Colts, do you put your thumb on the scale if you're the Bears? I think back to 2016 when Teddy Bridgewater suffered a torn ACL late August. The Eagles hijacked the Vikings for a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick for Sam Bradford. So maybe there will be a potential trade of Nick Foles, although I think that creates some awkward dynamics with Foles and Carson Wentz from their time together in Philly. We'll just see what happens. And Look, the other thing, too, is it's better that it happens now so they can make some sort of a plan. Once we get to week 1, week 2, there will be some of these serious injuries that happen, and it's a hell of a lot harder to adjust and adapt on the fly when you're into the week in and week out grind. At least the Colts have more than a month to figure out what they're going to do.
Mike Florio, great stuff as always. Appreciate it. We will talk in a week, my friend. Thanks, you, pal.
You're cutting me short. What's going on?
No, it's 39 after. Oh, my clock is 30 seconds slow. You know what? Fine. I got one more. How about this? I saw where the Washington football team is going to be banning Native American garb from the stadium, trying to move on from all that stuff. But my question is this. Is there a chance the Washington football team stays the Washington football team?
Well, they've said they're going to announce their new name next year, and it would be the ultimate Washington football team irony if they end up having a really special season to the point where that name becomes, meaningful. So they say they're going to change, although I kind of like it the way it is.
I agree with you. It's grown on me for sure. All right, Michael, we have hit our limit. Great stuff. Love you. We'll talk in a week. See you, man.
Bye.
Mike Florio with us, ProFootballTalk.com, NFL and NBC. We'll get a break and talk to the birthday boy. Who could that be? You'll find out next on Softy and Dick on 950 KJR.
Store only. Staples.
All right, we are back at the VMAC, baby. Week 2, Seahawk training camp. Softy and Dick hanging out until 6:30 tonight. We got Sounders soccer, FC Dallas and the Sounders coming up pre-match 6:30, kickoff 7 o'clock tonight, right here on 950 KJR. But before we get to our next guest, what do you say we give him a little bit of a proper introduction here?
You ready?
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Freddie. Happy birthday to you. God, that was terrible.
I appreciate it.
I hope you get a better gift than that. Happy birthday, Freddie Swain, 18 years old today. Is that right?
That's correct.
I love it, man. You're the youngest player in the history of the National Football League. Well, it's great to have you on the air. Happy birthday, man. Thanks for doing this. And then second of all, second training camp with the Hawks, but first with fans, right? I mean, you're getting to experience this whole thing for the very first time. What's it like for you, man?
Feels like football again. Last time, playing in games, it kind of felt like a big scrimmage. But now you get fans, you get to see what the 12s are all about, and they've been awesome.
So you had to learn an offense last year for the first time, and now you got to learn an offense for the first time the second time. So is it just as hard as it was last year, or because at least you've been with the team, it's a little bit easier?
I would say it's easier. I've been with the team. Got guys like Tyler, DK, and Penny and guys and whatnot. So we call each other. We have questions. Everybody has questions. So we just ask each other, if we ever get something wrong on the field, we communicate with each other. So It's been pretty good rather than trying to learn it on Zoom by yourself.
Freddie Swain with us. How different, honestly, is the verbiage, the offense, the playbook from what you had a year ago? And how much of a difference will fans like us even notice with this offense in week 1?
The tempo will definitely be way faster than what it was in the past. We have a lot of one words and things like that tells everybody kind of what to do and where to line up. So I feel like the fans will definitely see a difference in tempo out of the offense.
How does Shane implement that? Is he similar to Shoddy as far as how vocal he is during practice, how one-on-one he is with you guys in practice? What are maybe some of the differences you can illustrate to the fans between Schottenheimer and Waldron?
Shane will come tell us as a group, we meet in the mornings. He'll come and just tell us what we're looking for out of this route. He knows everybody's routes aren't going to be the exact same. Obviously, Tyler's smaller than we are. DK's bigger than we are. So everybody's routes are going to be different. So he kind of shows us a basic of what he wants, and we go from there.
All right, the birthday boy, Freddie Swain, is with us on the air. Wave your hand so people can see you there 50 yards away. But obviously you never want to see a teammate go down, but D. Eskridge not here with the foot injury, obviously. Has Kyvan kind of opened a door? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's a third spot available on this football team. Has that kind of entered into your mind at all, that there's an opportunity here to maybe grab that spot and run with it that maybe otherwise wouldn't have been there?
I always looked at it as an opportunity. I come to compete every day, no matter what the situation is or what I'm facing. I just come to compete.
How about on special teams? What's your role right now? What would you like it to be ideally?
I'm back at returner, kickoff return and punt return, so back in my element.
What do you think you're better at, punts or kickoffs? Are you equally dynamic and electric and badass on both?
badass in both.
I love it.
Wow.
I like it. Okay, can you do both at the same time, or do you got to kind of pick one and run with it?
No, I'm going to do both.
I love it.
Yeah, but
I love it.
Let's face it. Don't you wish, as a return man, that the rules were what they once were, where you can actually return? I mean, it's hard to return kicks these days with the way kickers are either placing the ball high on the 1 yard line or booting it out of the end zone.
That's right. The game's evolving.
What have you learned? Freddie Swain again with us. You mentioned DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. How are you a different guy? When we were talking to you a year ago over Zoom, obviously, on the phone, how is Freddie Swain a different player right now than he was on August 4th of 2020, your birthday a year ago?
I'd say the mental aspect of the game, honing in on the little details and actually taking care of my body. I would say is the biggest thing that I've got from them guys.
All right, if you were your professor giving you a final grade on your 2020 season, how would you evaluate Freddie Swain's rookie year? Give yourself a grade and kind of like a little synopsis, a summary on why you gave yourself that grade.
I'll give myself a C. I came in, I did what I had to do. I came in, blocked, made plays when I needed to, kind of was getting the offense down as I was going. Taking roles just came in and just took a role, but now
right.
I give myself a C.
Well, you look at your numbers a year ago, Freddie, 13 catches, 160 yards, couple of touchdowns, and I'm sure there's some Seahawks fans that maybe still haven't seen you play a lot. And when they think of DK Metcalf, they have a thought in their head. They think of Lockett, they have a thought in their head. Well, what do you want to bring to this football team? Besides the electricity on special teams, what do you think you can bring to this football team as a wide receiver?
Energy.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get out of me. I like to have fun, but I also demand the best out of my teammates. So I would say a leader and just a lot of energy.
Where does your skill set fit the best as far as in the wide receiver positioning?
In the slot.
Okay.
Why?
Just fast twitch. It's a lot of quick routes and things like that. Just mismatches, and I feel like I fit better in there than I do outside.
Yeah, Freddie Swain with us for a few more minutes. The off season, you guys were able to get back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy, working out, things like that. Tell us about your off season. How much did you get to hang out with the star, with number 3, and kind of work out with him? And you get a chance to take any vacations this off season, man?
No, I ain't really do too much vacation. Spent a lot of time with my daughter and my girlfriend, so. Family's very important, so I spent a lot of time with my family. But I went to Russ's house for like 3 or 4 days, and we all got together. You know, it was football, but outside of football, we was just getting to know each other and understanding why guys think the way they do and act the way they do, and it's kind of what we needed as a unit.
I got one more for you, Freddie. I want to know about your conference gobbling up the rest of college football. I want to know what you think about the big, bad SEC gobbling up Texas and Oklahoma and where this whole thing's going to end.
Yeah, to me, SEC is the best conference you can play in, and if they join it, then let's see what it's like.
Let me ask you this, though, to wrap it up. You make more money now in the NFL or more money at Florida? When you were there in the SEC. Huh?
Good question.
You like that, huh? How much would you have gotten if that NIL thing was in existence a couple years ago? A couple of endorsements, you think, huh?
Yeah, I got to cover all that.
Yeah. I heard the Alabama quarterback's making $1 million. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Could you guys have cashed in like that, honestly, just because the fans are so crazy down there?
Yeah. It'd have been fun.
I love it. All right, Freddie, happy birthday. Go celebrate, man. Are you a cake and ice cream kind of guy?
Trying to watch my figure.
There you go. Good for you. All right. Enjoy it, man. We'll look forward to talking down the road, buddy. Appreciate it, pal. You bet. Freddie Swain with us right here, the birthday boy on 950 KJR. 24 years old today. We apologize for the happy birthday rendition. We know that was obviously, number one, terrible, and B, kind of douchey at the same time. But that's kind of what we are
I don't
here
mind the second
on the show.
part.
Yeah. Well, it's, we're not supposed to do stuff like that. We're supposed to be impartial, but you know us. We're homers, so I think we passed that line a long time ago. We'll get a break. Petros Papadakis, who I think is everything we just said and more.
Douchey?
And a homer. He'll join the radio show courtesy of SweetJames.com, baby. Next on 950 KJ.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.